Hello and welcome to the Whirly Bloke channel. I was wondering, can you strap a GoPro Session to a ViFly X150? Let's find out. When we look back at 2018, I'm pretty sure we'll be saying this 4-inch X150 mini quad from ViFly is a contender for quad of the year. No one seems to have a bad word to say about it. And if you've seen my 3-part review, setup guide and conclusions, you'll know I'm a massive fan. And to be honest, it's now the quad I always take out with me, whatever else I'm flying. Basically because it's so much fun. And its only real downside, well, it's more of a shortcoming really, is not being able to capture HD footage. And in my review, I suggested it might be possible to replace the Foxeer Arrow Mini with a Runcam Split Mini. The camera's the same size and will fit in, but it would take some major surgery to get both PCBs fitted. Plus, I don't really like the FPV experience I get from a Runcam Split Mini. It gets great HD footage, but the image is very flat, and the transmitted FPV camera signal has got lots of electrical interference that I really don't like. The horrid diagonal lines only seem to be there when the DVR is recording, and no amount of power supply isolating capacitors really kill it. I'm sure it's just noise that's coupled into the video output due to the PCB layout. Anyway, ViFly have usefully provided a couple of slots on the top of these metal camera brackets, which means you could just strap a GoPro Session on. But these look like a bit of an afterthought, and I'm not sure a Session would stay put in a crash. And the last thing I want is another lost GoPro. Looking around, I found these rather nice GoPro Session mounts that are specifically designed for the X150. It's a side entry type of mount and fits snugly between the two top brackets with a cutout for the Foxeer Arrow Mini. And it comes with 4 M2 bolts that securely fix the mount to the top bracket in these captive nuts on the bottom of the mount. And once these are done up, the camera is very secure and it's not going anywhere. There's 2 angles available. This one is at 25 degrees, which is the angle of the bracket, and there's another one at 30 degrees. They're obviously made from TPU, but not like the TPU in other GoPro mounts I've seen. It's very high quality with no nasty stringing and rough edges. There's cutouts so you can access the top and the rear buttons on the GoPro, and the side mount means you can easily access the SD card. It comes supplied with all the nuts, bolts and washers you need. Fitting is easy, but I found it's best to remove the VTX antenna first, and you may need to get a longer one to clear the height of the GoPro. Just screw the 4 bolts into the mount, and they don't need to be too tight. Pull the mount forward and screw your VTX antenna back on, and then just push the GoPro into the mount. It's a pretty tight fit and very secure, and it's not going to fall out anytime soon. I found using one of these 45-degree SMA connectors made fitting the supplied VTX antenna much easier. There's not much give in here, so it won't bend too easily. But if you're using something like an AMWay, which is a longer antenna, you're not going to have too many problems. I really like this mount, and okay, the GoPro adds another 70 grams of weight to the X150, which takes it over the magic 250 grams, but it does mean you've got HD footage if you want it. The quad is slightly more sluggish, but not that much, and the benefit is there's actually more mass, so you've got more inertia available, which helps with some of the acro moves. Flight times were reduced by about a minute or so due to the extra weight of the GoPro, but as usual with the X150, it's so much fun, time just flies. I did need to change my PIDs a little bit to cope with the extra weight of the GoPro and the fact that it's mounted high over the centre of mass. I added a couple of points of roll and pitch gain to compensate for the extra mass of the camera, and because I added P gain there was some slight bouncing, so I added some D gain and that sorted everything out. I suggest flying the X150 as is first, just to see how it handles before you start tweaking your PIDs. And it's a good idea to back up your settings before you start so you can go back to them if you screw up. And it means you can also easily go back to those settings if you take the GoPro off. If you found that useful and you want updates, please like and subscribe to the channel down here. It really does help me make better content. I'll see you next time.